All right. Welcome everyone. We're going to talk about audio reactivity today, which is like you must have seen some effects where there's an audio and there are some like different colors based on the amount of audio that is being transmitted, like how loud somebody speaks. I saw an effect where there was like if you speak in it, the glass will shatter down, or if you speak there would be like different colors. So these are like audio reactive effects, one example. Another example is like how to add a background music to something. Like, okay, if you're playing a game, then how to add a background music to it, or how to how to make those sound react based on some actions. So we do not have permission to kind of import MP3 files directly to our project. So what we do is that we use MP4 files, M4A files, pardon me. We use M4A files. And then for that, we need to convert them to make it usable. So I'm going to share my screen and then guide you through the process. What you can do is you can kind of open Spark at your laptops if you have right now. So let me know. I will go on that pace if you have your laptops right now. So what you can do is that you can do it on like right now as I'm doing it. So you can kind of follow the process. That way you would learn faster. If that's possible, you can do that. If not, you can, just pay attention to the course then. Okay, cool. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Rishti.
Welcome,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we want to add some music to our effect. So how do we do that? Is that we can't really import an MP3 file if we directly want to like include an MP3 file. So we can't do that. Like let's say if I have an MP3 file, because musics are MP3, right? That's why we know this is the most general format of music. And if I want to include a MP3 file, it won't let me because it is not allowed to kind of add Spark AR. So how to do that? Like, how do I add a file to this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go online to kind of, we should be ready with the file, the MP3 file. And there are like lots of online converters online, which you can convert from MP3 to M4A. The one that I like is Audio Convert Tool. I'm also going to share this link with you guys. And then what we need to do is convert to M4A. So this like convert to M4A, you'll find it like here somewhere, convert to M4A. So I'm sharing this link as well in the chat. So simple steps, what we need to do is simple steps. We need to choose an MP3 file. Again, so let's say I have an MP3 file here. And this file is all right, let's convert the Bella Ciao music. So we have this as MP3. We imported this file. Now, important things to note while converting MP3 file to M4A is that this sampling rate that Spark allows is 4400, 44100. We have to do it. So we have to select the sampling. If we do any other sampling than this, then Spark won't let us use the file. All right. So one thing. Second is that the audio channels, there are two kinds of channels. There are stereo channels and the mono channels. So we just are allowed to use mono channels. We're not allowed to use stereo channels. If we use stereo channels, Spark won't understand the file. So we have to use the mono. Now, if you want to trim it out, this is like, this can be different for different tools online. But if you want to like trim it out, you can trim it like, let's say, I just want to have my effect is only for 15 to 30 seconds or maximum 1 minute, right? So what if I have an audio and make it on loop? So I'll maximum go for like 15 seconds. So 0000 from 00, I'll go for like 0000 and 15 seconds. Okay, so you could leave it blank if you want the entire file. For an example, if you want just 15 seconds out of the file, you can trim it out. And my audio codecs are AAC because I'm using Mac, and I think you have to choose AAC for any kind of audio codecs. Okay, and then start the conversion. There's that simple. So 3 steps: choose the sampling frequency, these audio channels, and yeah, AAC audio codecs. And now we see that our file is .m4 extension. It has been downloaded as, all right, it's much smaller than the mp3 file. So one of the reasons to do it is that also to compress from the original file. Now if I import this file to my Spark AR, which is simple to do, like I could select it and this file is here without any problems. We can also preview this. We can play it right here, right? You can preview it, but to add into the effect, there are some ways that we could do it. There are two ways mainly. So we're going to talk about both of the ways. First is to use an audio playback controller. All right. So when you go to the asset panel, and there's a bunch of options here. So you can use playback controllers. So there are two kinds of playbacks that you can have in the project. You can have some animations if you're using a 3D object, and let's say if you want to make a dance, or so those are the animation. Or you could do it like audio, like play some audio based on some triggers. So we could have those controllers here. So let's say we want to have an audio playback controller, all right? Because we imported an audio, and we're gonna name it like my background music, all right? This background music, as soon as I add this playback controller, it gives me some options like, hey, which audio are you talking about? So let's say which audio we have in the project, just one audio is there. So we select this audio here. And then if I check the play button, it's going to run forever. So it should run forever, but I can't hear it right now. Is why? Because we don't have a speaker in our system. So any machine to work, any machine to give some output. So what we have done right now, we have prepared an input. We have the file, we have the logic, we know which file to play, we have the controller to play, but we don't have a speaker. So what if you have everything at your home and don't have a speaker? How would you listen to the music, right? So we need to add an object now. So this is a scene object now because we're adding an object, and we search for speaker. Okay, and then we search for the speaker where we add the speaker. Now this speaker should have an input that we just created. So if you go to the properties of the speaker, it says that it should be audible. It should have an audio. So let's say, what do we have? It can have a microphone. Like when your filter is can have input from a microphone. It can have input from an external source, which is probably like if you have some mic connected to your system or like that. But the background music is something that we created here, the controller, that is also our input, right? So we select it. As soon as you select it, it starts playing, right? Earlier it was not playing because we did not have the speaker. But now, if you play it, it's gonna play for 15 seconds because that's the duration, and then it's gonna stop. After playing for once, it's gonna stop because it's not on the loop. But we select on the play and loop, then it's gonna run forever. Like it will be our background music no matter what. So we can kind of bring these out like in the project, these things, and we can give some logic to them. So like if your background music is, let's say, hey, if my runtime is something which is, um, when your filter opens, runtime is 0. But then it starts from the time you open the filter, it starts running. It's kind of a time frame, like how long is your filter running. So that is runtime, like how, yeah, runtime is like that. So basically, it's basically the time value which keeps changing. It's not constant. Like it's a value which is not going to repeat itself. So like how long is your filter been open? So like 30 seconds. If I refresh it, it resets to 0. All right. So it's a very useful patch. How I imported is this: I right click and I search for runtime and I enter and can import as many you want. So I want to put a logic that, hey, if my effect is running for more than 5 seconds, all right, then if my effect is running for more than 5 seconds, then give me a boolean, like give me a true value. And then if I connect to the play button, it's gonna play, right? So pay attention that if I refresh my page now, earlier what we were doing is that after every refresh, the music will start playing. Now, after every refresh, it will wait for 5 seconds and then it will start playing. All right. So we see that, note this value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 started, right? So that's the logic. Let's say, okay, that's good that you're playing after 5 seconds, but as soon as if I cross, like just play it for like 8 seconds, like okay, so like after 5 seconds you start playing, but after 3 seconds after that, reset the music to the original position, like restart it. Okay, so in that case, I would do this, and I would also connect this, and notice this. Did you notice what just happened? We said like, okay, after 5 seconds, this music would start playing. But after 8 seconds, we will send a pulse which will reset our controller to its original point. So our music would start from the beginning. Um, Again, this thing is like the background music. We could put it on loop, and if we do that, what if I want to add some logic to it? Let's say like I want to like keep playing it, and after every 1 second, um, I need a pulse here. So um, let's say I have a modulo function. Okay. Modulo is a function which is kind of gives you a reminder of if you divide 5 by 2, then it's going to give you 1. If you divide 5 by 3, it's going to give you 2. If you divide 5 by 4, it's going to give you 1. So because modulo is like an operator which gives you remainder, like if I divide 5 by 1, it's going to give me 0, right? Because there is no remainder. But if I divide it by 2, it's going to give me 2, because 2 into 2, 4, and then 1 remaining, right? If I divide it by 3, it's going to give me 2. If I divide it by 4, it's going to give me 1. So it's like a useful function, right? So if I have my timer divide by 10, then notice my values will always go from 0 to 10, and it will come back to 0 again. It's almost like, because the maximum remainder I can have out of 10 is 10, the minimum remainder I can have is 0. So this value, if I put any value here, if I divide it by 10, would always give me a remainder between 0 to 10. So if I want to clamp, if I want to like restrict values between some boundaries, I can use this modulo function so that can keep reiterating. So it almost works like a loop execution. All right. This is all about the background music, the adding the background music. There's one more way to do it. Like if, let's say I don't want to add this controller, I'm going to delete it. Like I just added the music. So what you can do is you can import this music into the project. And this is my audio clip. I will always need a speaker to play some music in my effect. If I don't have a speaker, I won't be able to hear any sound, which is, yeah, if you don't have a speaker, you won't be hearing anything. So now, since I deleted my input, which was the background music, I don't have an audio. Like it was our input right earlier. So can I just pass this to my speaker? No, that's not possible. This is an audio clip. So what we need is a player now. Like we had the controller, so controller comes with a player and you just connect it to the speaker, it starts playing. But to play something, it is not enough to have an audio file. Like if you don't have a mobile phone or a laptop, then how would you listen to the music? Let's say you just have a pen drive which has a lot of mp3 files, but how would you listen to it if you don't have speaker of a player? So we need a player first. So the player is called audio player. All right, now you see that the output of this thing is an audio clip. Input to this player is an audio clip. So we said like, okay, fine, we passed it here. Then the audio can now go to the speaker. Now we need a controller. Like so earlier, the controller, the audio playback controller was like controlling everything. We just had to like, hey, play it, and it was just playing. But here we need to pass a controller value like, hey, I mean, okay, you got a phone, you got a music, you got a speaker, but should it like always be playing just because you have it all in your phone? We need a controller. We need to play it when we want to play it. We need to play it when we press the play button, right? So we need to create that controller logic. So how do we do that? Is that there are two kinds of controller here: the single clip controller and this multi-clip controller. All right, so these controllers are to kind of like if you have multiple clips in your multiple audio files in your effects, then multi-clip controller is useful. If you just have one file in your effect, then you could like play it, pause it, make it in a loop. So we're just gonna use single clip controller for now. So my input goes to this controller. Now, when do we want to play? When do we want to stop? And when do we want to loop? Is somewhere we can use a logics. So let's say if I do a screen tap, if I do a screen tap on my screen, then it should play. But um, but if I do, but if my effect is more than running for more than 10 seconds, then stood stop. All right. So my logic becomes like this. We have done nothing. Like up till here, we just kind of expanded our playback controller, like how the controller was working. Now this is a logic to kind of stop it. So when we say that, hey, yeah. So I screen tapped, and as soon as I screen tapped, the effect started playing. I'm gonna find a way to kind of decrease the volume. All right. The music is playing now. 8, 9, 10. It will be stopped now, right? So this is what our controller is doing. All right. this is there are two ways to do it. Now, important things like exciting stuff is making it reactive, making it to do some things in our effect, like increase some sizes, increase some, let's say, with the music, my face becomes bigger, my eye comes out, my nose becomes bigger, um, something like that. Like we could do maybe my with the music, my glasses keeps changing. My eye becomes wobbly. So we could do these kind of effects using the logic, um, using the audio effects. So there's something called energy meter. Energy meter in the There are two things actually: energy meter and this audio analyzer. So the both patches are useful to um, create audio transition effects. And this energy meter. Pay attention here, like how to use this. We can use one of the things. Just audio analyzer is something which gives you like takes an input like an audio. So probably whatever coming before the speaker would be our input here. Audio would be coming to the speaker now. So basically what we did is that we introduced an analyzer in the middle, which we can control by values of 8 bands, like band 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These bands are divided based on the frequency of the audio. The lowest band is like maybe 0 to 250, or it's very low. And this goes band 2 is from like 250 to 400. And there's a whole list of ranges you can find out on Spark Air website. But these bands is like, this is the highest band. So basically, if something is at band 8, then it is like too high pitch or like too high in amplitude as well. So these values, they come like from 0 to 1. So let's say, if I'm going to play, I'm going to remove this top music logic. So we every time we screen tap, it's just gonna start the music. Right. Right. So the music is on right now, and yep. If you notice this, let's take out these values outside. Let's take out these values outside. Notice that the values from band 1, 2, and 3, they have a little bit different. I'm also going to play it on loop, so we don't have to play it again and again. So notice the values here, okay? Band 1, 2, and 3. Higher it goes, lower the value. Like initially, this band is satisfied with like whatever audio input it gets. It gives you a very higher value compared to um, other two, band 2 and band 3. And this is similarly, like if I go for the last band, this will give me like lower value as well. So basically, if a higher sound or a higher amplitude comes, this value is more likely to reach 1. This is less likely to reach 1. So based on this, we could have like different interaction in our filter. What we're gonna do is we want to create something. Let's say let's add some fun. Okay, I'm going to import a 3D object into the filter. So it's going to cover how to add a 3D objects. So we can go to the library. What I did was, this is AR library. There's a lot of assets here. You can find music here. You can find 3D assets here. So if I go to this file, there's AR library. There's like 3D objects, music and sounds, patch assets. There are some textures also. Like these are like some 3D textures, like environmental lights, mostly used for physically based materials that we discussed in last class. There are some blocks which are made of so like ready to made functions for you. You can just import them, and there like a lot of things would be done for you. And there are some script packages. I think the Canon doesn't work. I think, but these were like a little bit useful earlier, but now since Spark has evolved, I don't find much uses for these. But yeah, you can try them out to learn something new. And there are some color alerts where you can like kind of change scene like with a different color, like so black and white or a little bit saturated, less saturated. So we could import these things into the Spark. So these are like also some things we discussed in last class, but you can like ready to make things we can always import in a project and start working on them. At the moment, we're going to start with a 3D object, which is going to be what should we go with? Let's go with the cube, right? Let's import a cube. We can then make it a cuboid something. All right, so these are very basic sizes. If you see that this is only 1.18 kb, which is like nothing but just vertices, and so like very less polygons, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8 vertices. So very less size, just 1.18 kb, and we import it. Also, like you can find music here. These are like you don't have to convert them. So like there are a lot of background musics that you can go for. Let's say this music goes for like 14 seconds. Let's import this one. It's like less Bella Ciao. All right. So two things we imported in our project. One was the acid 3D cube, and the second was the music something. I'm going to delete this guy, which we processed outside Spark, but this is new music for us. Let's add multi-clips patches. Okay, you can directly click on this when you select the audio file and you click on this, it will automatically add some, um, like the audio player, a clip controller, the audio file and the speaker, which is something that we did here, right? Which is something that we made here. We use the single clip controller. And so we can delete these now because we directly kind of imported this. And if we screen tap, it's going to play it. But we don't need the speaker. Again, we already have a speaker, so we deleted that. And we don't need it here also, so we delete it from here also. All right, Spark crashed. Crash. Does it happen to you guys like when you're using Spark and it automatically crashes for some times? Like, does this happen to you guys as well? It is into beta phase, so they're like developing it every day, making improvements. So it happens sometimes that like software crashes and it becomes annoying. But good thing is that whatever we were doing here was saved, so we lose nothing. So just like closes and opens up again. All right, so we have a new audio, uh, which is going to be controlled by this audio analyzer, and then it will come in the speaker, and there are some values that we're going to play with. But let's play this thing. Notice these values are changing from 0 to 1 based on the 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay. Um, we also imported this guy. This is Cube here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to import a face tracker. Okay. Face match. Don't need the face match. I'm going to disable this guy or delete this as well. I don't need it. All right. I need to import this cube to my project. I added this cube to my face tracker. So whatever I do, it's going to be like on my face. All right. I told you about null objects, right? So we can use null objects to kind of control. So let's say we want to make something, some audio frequency lines. So I'm gonna like name it lines, just lines, like maybe audio lines. Audio bars, or you can say audio bars, okay. And then I'm going to give this to this guy here. All right, notice, pay attention how we set up a project and how we kind of work into the project. So when we resize some things from here and it is tracking your face, it's better to pause it and then do it, because if you don't do that, it's gonna keep moving, and then anytime you make something, it's gonna add up some rotations, like unwanted rotations. What I wanted is just to move in X direction, but it added some unwanted rotation because my face is gonna constantly moving, right? So I want to control Z it again, and if I pause it and then try to move it, then also it happens, right? So we can use these values to kind of move it up and down. I want to move it a little bit up. It's too much up, like maybe 0.05 or maybe 0.08 or 0.085. Cool. And I want to squeeze it a little bit. It's like a too big of a cube. So let's say if I in X direction, I want to make it like maybe 0.2. All right. And in the Y direction, I want to make it a little bit longer than this, maybe 0.1, 0.5. It's too big. One more thing, like we could maybe, I'll talk about this. Adjusting the position in the null object is also a very important thing. But for now, just modify these and then just move it up. Um, in the Z direction, we don't need it like that much. Z direction is this, how wet is it? Let's just gonna go with 0.2. All right. So I have a perfect bar at my head right now. And I wanted to go a little bit back of here. It's too much. So 0.01 minus 0.01, maybe minus 0.05. No, minus 0.2. All right. This is what I wanted. Okay. I can easily duplicate this guy and then duplicate this guy and then duplicate this guy 4 times. So I have 4 bars there. What I can do is move it them like 0.01, maybe 0. Yeah, it also looks okay, but I want to like separate it out a bit. So maybe 0.2, um, maybe 0.3. Like let's start from here. Okay, do 0 again. If this is my center position, then I want to go for like 0.02, maybe 1.5, or maybe just 1, 2. Just a bit like according to you. We keep the same. So we had 0.12012, so we'll have 0.024, and then we will have 0.036. Right. So these bars are added to my hair now. I can control the position all at once because I put them in an audio bar, null object, and I can move them a little bit up, 0.02 and minus 0.02. Also, I want to scale it down. Like the one is in the y direction. I want it like be at like, let's say 0.8. Maybe not 0.8, like I am okay with 1.5. Right. So every bar has a similar scale, similar position. Position is different, similar scale. I want to modify the scale using these values that I get from an audio. So what I can do is I can bring out the scale of each of these guys individually. So let's say if my cube 2 goes to here, my cube 1 goes here, cube 0 here, and cube is here. Okay, cool. So if I have these guys here and I try to pass these values that I get from here to my y of this, like 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. So this thing is going to be 0 to 1, right? And how do I pass a number which is a single digit number, single vector number, to a 3-vector number? We talked about this, right? We can use a pack patch. If we use a pack patch, we can say that, okay, for my x, we just want 0.2. For my y, we want to have something different, because that the y is what we want to change with our audio input. So initially we have 1.5. So let's say we want something from 1 to 2. Okay, 1 to 2. We don't want to go like 0 or like, or we could go 0 as well. That's not a problem. But we can try this and then we can modify this later. Okay. So my x and z are not changing. My y is changing. So my y, I will pass it from here. And this I'm gonna do for every these things. So let's copy paste it. Give this here, copy paste it. Give this here and copy paste it. Give this here. Now I have a 3-vector that I'm gonna pass here, pass here, pass here. Notice that the bar has kind of gone to 0 almost. It's because the y by default when the audio is not playing is at 0. But if I screen tap, because my screen tap would play this music, which will change and give me some values. So if I do that, notice the last bar has the smallest change, but the first bar has the largest change. And interesting, right? It was easy to do, right? Um, Talking about adding the logics, I think we can modify it a bit. Let's say we don't want to make go it to like 0, 0, 0. So we can say that our number that we are passing it here, this number should be, if I add 1 to it, then whatever values I get from this guy will be from 0 to 1. So this will just make it from 1 to 2 now because I'm adding 1. So if I'm getting 0, this is going to be 1. If I'm getting 1, this is going to be 2. So this thing is always between 1 to 2. And this I can kind of copy paste. All right. Let's see where we are now. Yeah, so now it never goes to 0. Like it does something and it will play for like 14 seconds and then gradually gonna stop slowly. It did, and it stopped at size 1. So yeah, right now we just added the value, but you could add a multiplier to these values. Like how much do you want to change it? So let's say I want to change my last value to the largest, because right now last value is changing the lowest. So let's say I want to multiply, I want to add something, add 2 to this guy, and then multiply it by 3. And when that happens, I want to pass it to 0, pass it to y. So if you see that this has already become at least 3, at least 2 multiplied by 3, which is 6. So not too much, maybe lesser than this, maybe 2 like here. think if you wanna change the multiplier, may make sense to multiply this here. Then like say I multiply by 10. So that would like give me a larger impact on this value. Cool. This is just an example. You could do many things with it. You could try to play it out, give some colors, change the colors based on the audio reactor. The important part to know here is that these values, the 0 to 1 values, you can then manipulate them to like whatever you want and whatever you can make out of these. I hope these are clear from here. Another approach is this energy meter to go with. So let's say, also, this is not supported on Facebook. This is only supported on Instagram at the moment. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to add this energy meter here, add this audio, and this is here. Now this energy left and right, energy left and right are like kind of controlling the two speakers, and from the equalizer, like 0 value, are we going positively up or are we going negatively up? So that's the energy right and energy left. And window is where do you want to cut it open, uh, like how much how much values are you kind of cutting it off at. So cut off, or like let's say if I have cut off 1500, then it's gonna cut off, give me values after that window, like 1500, more than 1500. So these are like basically audio things, but you can like explore them out by putting some values. I usually put it 1500, but if you put it 0 as well, it doesn't make much difference. But if you want to go in detail with an audio effect, you can try it, like experimenting with the cutoff values. The energy value is pretty low, goes maximum 1, but it has like wider range of values now. So you will have 0.0001, like maybe 4 or 5 decimals after the decimal, and then you go up to 1. So basically you have a wider range of energies, energy meter. So let's say if I play it now, if I want to check the value, how much am I getting out of this? You see, like, I don't think this is ever going to reach 1. This is never going to reach 1. So we have like wider things to do here in terms of, if you want to detect like, hey, are you giving me some bass, like, so maybe have a lower value. Are you kind of giving me drums values? Like, how do I detect those snares and then bass? And so this is something that you're going to focus on. You can try to experiment some values. Like if you play bass, what value is you getting at? And so based on audio, it may change, but you can kind of generalize it as well with experiments. Now we see that this is very low value that we're getting. So if I directly kind of put it, it's kind of not going to make much difference, because 0.00 something is like nothing. So it's not going to like give me many changes. So if we kind of like want to zoom it out, it might be very little difference. But again, you have multiplications. You can always multiply this guy. Let's say, so we're getting values of like decimal here. So we can kind of go by multiply by 300 or something like that. So now they're changing, right? Or maybe multiply by 30, no impact, not much impact. Multiply with 1000, too impact, too much impact. Yep. So this was all about audio effects. I hope these are clear. And I think I pretty much like the effect where things were normal, normal as in they were directly going from 0 to the effect, because that was like from nothing to something was a good transition. But then the energy meter gives you one kind of value, and then it was not similar to the uh, audio analyzer. So if you want to have different values, these different values, then you kind of use to have different multipliers, like something you multiply by 300, something you multiply by 400, and then you give each values to these guys. But we're not going to do that. We're simply going to use audio analyzer and just give this audio here, delete the energy meter, and each band can respond to these values. That's it. Let's take two top bands. Like first is the top band, and the lower is this and this band. So kind of to kind of mix it a little bit. Yeah. I think I told you this. You can kind of you have to select an experience before you can upload a filter to your profile, and an experience can be whatever we make in Instagram is an experience. Those experiences can be a sharing experience where you kind of create a story or a reel. Those can be advertisements where a lot of brands are interested into creating, which you would be creating in terms of making money out of Spartia after some time. And video calling experience is like when you're talking to somebody and then you kind of experience the augmented reality. For now, we're going to use sharing experience, and we're going to say that use it on, if we use it in Facebook, it says like, hey, we are not supported. We are not, this capability is not supported in Facebook. So we don't want to use this, uncheck it, and then let's say done. Now we can send this to a test on Instagram, and this will be like directly go to our Instagram and I'll like directly test it on Instagram. This will also generate a link, which will be temporary, and that link can be sent to people to test it out. Wow, looks so good. Yeah, so this link can be sent to somebody. Maybe I'm gonna send it here. Divya, were you suggesting something? I'm sorry, I couldn't really catch. Divya is not here anymore. Okay. Cool. All right. I think we're done with the audio part, and then we can move to something else now. We can talk about slider UI, um, slider UIs, and then basically slider UIs. I think we cannot test it out here, but if you have a slider UI in your project, which is nothing but kind of a slider that comes when you use an effect. The slider can help you to make your values smaller, bigger, change your colors. So basically, if you slide it down, you kind of change certain values. You can use those values to change your background or like anything you want to do. So the slider would always be from 0 to 1. Initially, there's 0, maximum it will go to 1. So what I can do is multiply this guy, or maybe add, let's say right now I'm at 0. So if my slider, we can't show it here, but maybe we can show it in my phone. How to connect my phone. That's too much task. All right. So basically, the slider UI is going up and down, those values like sliding up and down. So initially, the slider start where it's 0 right now, and then it will go up to 1. But what if, let's say by default, I want to suggest like, hey, start in the middle. Like don't go 0, don't go 1, start at 0.5. So I'm going to say like, hey, my starting value is 0.5. is minus 0.5. Okay, so minus 0.5. So what I did was this. That now initially I was going from 0 to 1. Now I'm going from minus half to plus half. All right. So I started minus half. But if I want to add 1 to it, then probably that would be 0.5. Yeah. So now I'm going to start at 0.5. And then if I go up, if I by 0.5 is my 0. If I go up, I can go up to 1.5. If I come down, I can go up to minus 1.5. Now, my minimum value is 0.5. My maximum value can go up to 1.5. So yeah, and we can change it to our convenience, right? This is slider UI. It's useful. Change values if you want, like we can't test it here. So try it out in your Spark when you open it, and any doubts, let me know. So we don't have to like really spend much time on it. Then we have slider UI, so native UI picker. You may have seen a lot of effects where they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options like this. So these options are basically enabled by this guy. So if I say like enable, then this will be like shown here, but I have to select those options here. So if I have some texture, I have to import some textures here. Okay. I think I have some textures left in my thing, but let's say or maybe we can kind of download as well. Yeah, we can always download some. Yeah, let's download some textures, number images. So if we have like this guy, I'm just gonna do like 3 images. So for an example, this one, and then we have this guy. It's 2. And then we should go for 3. Okay, so I'm gonna import these here. As I said, just I downloaded 3 files. All right, make sure when you use the UI picker, you always remember to make them none. The compression should not be enabled in Spark. If you want to compress them, do it outside Spark. This is mandatory for the UI picker's textures. For the first one, let's say we had 1, second, let's say we have 2. For the third, we'll see we have 3, right? If I refresh now, I will see these 3 icons here. So 1, 2, 3. Now, based on this, we could kind of add some interaction. Let's say like if my number 1 is selected, initially we are at 0. So initially the thing is selected is 1. When we select 2, the circle is on 2, the 3, and circle is on 3. So when we have this selected option index, so like whatever we select is chosen. So if you select 2, then it's going to be 1. If you select 3, then it's going to be 2, because the indexing works from 0, 1, 2, like that. So yeah, I'm not going to spend much time on it because we have interesting things coming in. So basically, after choosing the index, you could kind of choose the same texture, which if you want to like apply to this guy, what you can do is, let's say if you have a rectangle here, and this rectangle is on a full screen, and I want to say that, hey, add a material to this guy, and this material should have a flat material, okay, and my texture should be set from here, and the selected texture would be like this. So what I've essentially done is that from my picker UI, I've said that like whatever my option is giving me, select that texture when I click on that. So basically, I've selected this guys to kind of use the picker to pick those values, right? Interesting. Okay, this is about UI picker. You can disable and enable based on some logic. By default, they're disabled, but when you click on this, they're enabled, right? All right. Gonna remove this as well. Now we have SDFs, the most important part that I feel of Spark AR, because of computer graphics, not just Spark AR, because SDFs are maybe a fancy name to kind of a very simple thing. The sign distance functions, which takes position as an input and kind of gives you a distance of that position uh, from that shape, and then you can kind of estimate the edges to make the shape. So let's do that. I mean, somebody was speaking. Sorry, my speaker, was it like? All right. Srishti, Dakshi, any doubts? You guys understanding?
No, sir.
No. Okay.
No
What?
doubt.
No doubts and not understanding.
Understanding, but there is no doubt of clearly.
All right. All right. That's great. That's good to know. How about you, Srishti? This was Srishti.
Fine.
Okay. Cool. All right. So SDFs is that thing. Basically, SDF is kind of interpolation. Um, can we draw here? Can we go? Yeah. So basically, SDFs do a lot of interpolation. So there's something called Hermite interpolation, where the SDF functions are used to kind of give you a shape based on step or smooth step functions that we're going to talk about. So basically, it uses interpolation. Interpolation is that, let's say if you have a graph, and if in the graph, if I have point 1, point 2, and point 3, and point 4, so what is that line which can kind of represent all these points? So basically, we interpolate them to exist on a curve. So another example could be like if I have point 1 and point 2. So based on my point 1 and point 2, can I estimate the points between these things? So this is interpolation, like using these points to estimate the points between them is interpolation. And we use them into SDF fields. So let's jump into it. The simplest SDF that we know is a circle. And when we pass a position to the circle, so we say that um, then the distance from the circle from this point is kind of known as SDF. So basically, it can grow from 0 to like from a bigger circle and then bigger circle and the bigger circle. So basically, that position is determining the size of the circle, where this circle would gonna lie. So this is like a 2D representation, though. In 3D, it becomes difficult, like not difficult, but like a very different concept, because you have normals there, other things as well. But let's just talk about 2D SDFs for now, because Spark in patches, you can only do 2D SDFs. Okay, so simplest SDF that we can find of is SDF Circle. There's a patch for it. So this SDF Circle would be giving you an SDF on 0.5.5, and the radius would be 0.5. So how do I print this guy to give me, like, show me a circle? So let's say this circle, I am going to take a plane out. No, not a plane. Let's take a rectangle. Yeah, let's take a rectangle. And this rectangle is full width, full height. I want to give it a material which we recently used, and then going to take out the texture and use the texture. I'll print these textures to this rectangle. So textures this rectangle. So if I directly pass this guy here, like, it's kind of not gonna give me anything, because this is a value, this is a numerical value that's coming out of it. So that numerical value has to make sense to this material, to this texture. So that is why we use the interpolation methods, which is smooth steps or a step. I'm going to talk about both of these. So basically, step function and smooth step functions are the kind of edges. So if there's a shape like a circle, so if any point is within that shape, like less than the edge, then it's going to return 0. And if it is more than that, otherwise anything on the edge or more than that, then it's going to return 1. So that's a step function for you. Smooth step is just kind of does it gradually, like, so we're going to see this in action. So if I kind of give this SDF here and pass it to this guy, the material, I have a circle which is like this, because we have our width is very disproportionate. So that's gonna like confuse you a bit. So I'm gonna go with a plane so that we don't have this stretching, and we kind of see a circle in terms of a circle. So yeah, so what it does is that, okay, from the center, like 0.5, which is the like maximum this can go. But from the center, it drew a shape for the radius 0.5, and if I change the edges, okay, so for the values inside the circle, like the shape less than that, it says like, okay, 0, beyond that is 1. So wherever we have 1 is the white values, and where we have 0 is the transparent or like a black value. So I hope that makes sense. But to kind of make it understand better, you can use a shader render pass, just for understanding. We're not going to use this render pass. We just want to have a preview of this particular thing, like what this particular thing is doing to our scene. So if you see, this is doing the same thing. This is giving you this the black thing is zero. Yeah, is zero, and this white thing is one. Right. So if I increase this, then I'm pushing my edges away. Okay, I'm pushing my edges away. So basically, I'm kind of um, I'm kind of creating more black values than white values, right? And if I go into negative, I'm gonna like pulling my edge towards me unless it becomes like a zero thing. So so basically we are making shapes using some patches. We could kind of make a glass out of it, like like if I put this plane on my face tracker and put in my nose, or let's say maybe drag it to my eye, um, eye, ball, and left iris. So if I give this position to this guy, this will be probably go to that. Yeah. So what I did is like I imported the face tracker, and face tracker, I took the position of my left iris, and that position is my plane's position now. So basically wherever my eye goes, my plane goes as well. But can we kind of reduce this this entire bigger thing? I don't want this radius to be 0.5, but 0.2, which is too less if I have to make it 0. Center is 0.5, 0.5. So maybe this could be 0.2 and 0.2 as well. Which means I'm kind of like shifting my circle to know that where do I draw that circle on the entire plane, right? So this is I'm kind of like choosing that to do, but like it can always be in the center if you use 0.5 and 0.5. You can increase the radius to make it smaller or bigger. You can also control the edges like this, right? Another thing is that we want to use, what is the difference between smooth step and step is that now we can like smooth it out. So I'm gonna have the okay. So pay attention where. So this these were the edges right now. This was the edge that SDF created, and anything less than this, it printed 0, and here it printed 1. Wherever it was 1, it gave me white values, and where it was not 1, it gave me black values. So, but if I use smooth step here now, if I pass the same thing to smooth step, you will see that kind of like let's go to the same setup like minus 0.2. Yep. You see that I drew this, right? So my it is gradually fading away. So it's just like not strictly 0 after this. It is like it has a something like if I have a like a 0 to 1 graph, um, if I have a, like a 0 to 1 graph, like this is the graph, and if I have 1 here and 0 here, then from 1 to 0, it kind of took some time to come this like this. So basically it was not like, so a step would be something like this, either 1 or 0 or 1 or 0 like this, right? But smooth step would be like gradually coming down or gradually coming up. So so this is what happened. This made it blur. And now the our edges are like not as sharp as the step, because you can see the difference. Okay, if you want to see the difference again, like there's a lot of difference. Like this is the maybe sharp edge here, like and this gradually fades away. Uh, so this is the fading away. This is that 0 to 1 thing, that entire. And so if I change this, I'll be probably shifting this in that sense. Usually you can put it like 0.01 as well for like less smoothing. And if I use this again, you will see that where I drew was the like sharp. It was sharp, but it was smoother. This was like smoother, right? This is understood. Application of this is a lot of application of this. Um, Consider the example of like, let's take this example. And if I whatever I am printing here is like white and black, which can be considered as 0 or 1. Last we discussed 0 and 1 when we were talking about alphas. And then let's say, okay, let's say we have our camera texture. Let's do some crazy things here. Import a camera texture. This camera texture is here. We bring it out, and what I want to do is this camera texture to this guy. Then probably I'll have the entire photo here. But if kind of this is my modification, that what should be considered as white and what should be considered as black. Right now it is printing at all of it because everything is white on this. um Let me draw it out for you. So on this section right now everything is white, so it is printing on the entire circle. So basically if I had the entire thing white, this would print on the entire thing, but I don't have this white, so it should not print it, but I'm not using it. Let's use it. So if I have right now, the alpha is this. So if I have this alpha to this guy, so I have to mix it. Mix this texture based on this alpha and give this guy. So see, now I'm only printing where my black is, but I can change that also. If I do this here, then I'm only be not printing where my circle is. So basically you can see through this the video, my you can see my eyes because that is in the background. You can see, right? I you can see because it's in the background. You can kind of see that yellow thing through this. So I hope you understand this concept, that creating of alphas, because this is going to be useful where you want to like do some custom alphas, custom things. Um, can add a background here to sort of make things more clear. Yeah. So if you see that right now I have the camera texture which prints my face, but I just want to print the eye, then I can also do that. If I okay, so this needs to be yep. So I hope now you understood the concept. Like what I just did was that I only want to print where the black is, or I want to print only where the white is. I can obviously always make changes. What is 1 and what is 0 for you? You want to print at all the ones, go ahead. You want to print at all the twos, sorry, all the zeros, go ahead. So this was something very much interesting to me. These concepts are like I really like to go through every time I make something. SDFs are really useful. Let's do some fun with the SDFs, okay? I'm going to remove this alpha for now. Actually remove this plane as well. but this alpha should have my entire texture. All right, let's create some things like maybe let's kind of try to modify, try to print more shapes. So let's say I want to have like, maybe this is 2.01. Yep. Actually, before we go here, I want to also make you understand one more thing. So creating alphas is okay. Just going to delete this, import this guy. Mhm. Yep. So it's rectangle. That's 111. Sketchfab is having my camera texture, which is it's flat. All right. Uh, let's talk about something which is gradients. Okay. Um, we just learned about step functions, and then also want to learn about gradients. Gradients are also made of 0 to 1. Like that's how gradient work. Like uh, if they're strictly 0 1, like if they're using step, then they will be strict at what is 0 and what is 1. And if they're using smooth step, then they will be kind of mixed, like overlays, like fading in, fading out, like that. So if I directly apply the gradient here, what it does is that this is half horizontal. It's like a horizontal gradient. Okay, do not don't worry about it. So horizontal gradient, so which is like if I this is white, half part is white, but it's gradually white, and this is black. So whatever is black, I'm able to see it. Excuse me. If you do it vertically, this is going to go for vertical. If you do this for circular, this is going to be like a circular, like black hair, but white at the corners. When you do that, uh, if you want to use step here, like smooth step function, or maybe start with step, always start with step, and then try to apply smooth step when you're learning. But once you learn, always go for smooth step. All right, this is 0. So I said like, hey, everything you see should be um, edges. Like my gradient is on the edges. Now horizontally, I'm right now I'm here, so everything is beyond this is 0. If I increase this, okay, that means I'm shifting my edge to the right, and then I'm kind of doing that horizontally, right? So you can kind of do that, like maybe 0.5. So now this is strictly 50% black, and this is 50% white. Same thing if I would have been smooth step, would have been different, right? So like I'm applying the same values, 0.5. And if I do this here, so it's just like, like the edge is not like just sharp, it's like fading it out. It's a very useful concept. I'm telling you, like creating alphas is a vardhan bhagwan ka, is like is the blessing since Spark. So you can do so many things with custom alphas. You can try to render what you want to render, and then play around with those things, those values. Um, right. If you go circular or vertical, that's your jam as well, we could do that. Like maybe 50% of the part is where I want to like print out my upper body, but the lower part of this, maybe, I want to add something else. So maybe a different texture, maybe somebody else's body like that. So we could do these things here. Enough about smooth steps. I think you must have understood right now. Smooth steps. Let's create something useful with the help of our SDFs. Maybe no, not give the camera texture to this guy, or maybe have a background behind this so that we don't see a face. Because I want to like make some patterns and then uh, move them, play with them, and that would be the final thing for today. Okay. All right. What we have here is kind of things. This is rectangle. So whatever is later, render first. This is later, then it is rendered later. Um, is because that is white and this is not white. Okay. I'm gonna remove these materials from here. All right. So this is my background, and this background should have a material like this. And this is my foreground. So this will be, or I'm gonna like, this is Matt PG. Always good to rename these. And this is my foreground. So I'm gonna call it like SDF Matt SDF. And then this is flat at the moment. And I'm gonna like print out. All right. So what I've done is that my background is some color, and then I'm printing this as a this is just for visual representation. We'll talk about render passes later. So wherever I have C black, it's going to give me those values. It is stretched right now. Don't worry about it. I kind of taught you about this like in the last session. We can always make it proportionate. All right. So after SDF circle, let's say I want to have, I want to make like more rounds to it. So like SDF maybe star, or no, like I want to apply some function top of it. So SDF annular is like a maybe create a ring. So basically created a ring on the edges, so like it's a difference of the ring in terms of ring. And if I kind of increase these values, we can always change the size of this guy. And yeah, this is pretty much the SDF annular. But like using these combinations, we can go beyond, let's say SDF twist. If SDF twist is there and this goes here, and if I kind of, how many twists we are making, doesn't really matter because the 0. All right, so if we should not have it in the middle, but then have it like this. Okay. Think circle rather than circle. Let's go with SDF rectangle and have a 0.1 and 0.1 with a half size of 0.1, 0.1, and pass it to this guy and have it to 1. So maybe just to see perspective, what we have is a 0.1, 0.1, So 0.5 is a rectangle of a half size 0.1. Then we want to twist this guy to kind of like, like it has been twisted a bit. But then we can change this to more and more rotated, like twisted like this, and then it becomes some different shape. So, but right now we're manually changing it. But if we have a loop animation, and this loop animation can have a transition where we don't have to manually change the values, but we could go from 0 to 50 in the in a section of 10 seconds, which could go gradually increase like a sinusoidal in and out. And this gives me a twist like this. So this will keep moving this guy. It's like an animation. All right. And so this is what we have so far here. We can also kind of, let's say, rotational repeat. So this is to kind of repeat things in like multiple times. So right now we have like a lot of shapes. So if you're like making Diwali have Diwali filter effects, then you can use some sort of rangolis like this. So like um, utilize some colors, and then different colors, different values of these things, increase the radius like this. So yeah, more SDF functions are there. You can flip things like this SDF complement as well. SDF complement is very interesting. Like it kind of change whatever white is to black and black to white. Well, this is a very cool thing. So notice there, this black is white and white is black. This is what it's gonna do. Yep. So um, from a nice looking Rangoli to kind of changes things into perspective. Um, then we have translation as well, which is useful. I use it a lot. I use this translation a lot because you kind of can apply animation, move these guys to right and left, kind of coming in, coming out, and kind of my favorite thing to do with SDFs. Um, don't even realize that. Yeah, so you can like kind of place your SDF to wherever you want. Um, what else can we do is like we can also apply some colors to these guys. Like let's say where I want like a mix patch, and this mix patch is like color patch. Okay, what I want to do is that, so my whites, my whites are to be painted as this color. So if I go that alpha, and this is going to make the black, the rest of the black, but I want to use my background so I can make it transparent. So in that case, this will become like this. I can use some different colors also here. Let's say I'm gonna go with purple, or yeah. And I think I must have told you about the patch color cycle, which is nothing but uses RGB values to change and give you different colors. You can also make by yourself, but color cycle, okay, yeah. So since I imported the color cycle, I can kind of use it here. And this color cycle, if I apply this to this guy, this is gonna keep changing in, let's say, 6 seconds or whatsoever. Start. I can also use gradient step, and this color to this guy, maybe this guy to kind of with this transparent though, but like, yeah, I mean, like you could do many things. Um, with SDF, you can print out, always make some different shapes as well. Like, let's say if we want to introduce that another thing now. So where do I want to do is now that if I, before the complement, like, let's say if I, if I use another shape, like let's not change that, whatever we have is like it. But instead of rectangle, I also want to have a star, SDF star, and this is star is to be make a union, you know, maybe smooth union, like shapes of two SDFs, and so rectangle and star is combining to give me this shape. And the smoothness should be, first of all, I want to change the inner radius to 15 or maybe 15, outer radius to lesser, and points to be 10, and then the smoothness to be 0.5. Yeah. I can have uh, the same loop animation to give me a transition value, and this transition value could be a number, and this number could go from 0 to 10 increasingly, and it's too fast. It's too fast, like maybe not 0, 1 to 10. Now that I see it, I don't like these colors so much. So maybe I'm gonna just keep it to one color. Um, and yep, I hope it makes sense. Also, this would be a good implementation as well. Yep. So this is pretty much about the SDFs, and yeah, we can do many things with these guys. Keep experimenting, and you may make some extraordinary patterns, and then if you want to try it out, I can send you a link, and you can like kind of open this in your phone, and also try it out on your Spark AR when you open it. And your next assignment, no matter what is I'm going to post in the group, but you guys who are here, I really want you to experiment with SDLs and ask your doubts to me. I will clarify them. No worries. Um, so this is done. I think. Let me share the link with you guys. Wait. Yeah. Hey, hi Sambhav. You joined in late. Sorry, I kind of introduced you earlier. So welcome to the session. I think you missed some of them, but you can always go back to the recordings and let me
Yes,
know
sir.
if doubts.
Sir, I would like to see all of the recording links. So if you just can share it on the WhatsApp group.
Yep. So Asghar is here and the group, and he will be probably sharing the recordings and also send you out in the group. Are you added to the group already?
Yes, sir.
Okay, don't worry, you'll get the recordings. And do you have any prior knowledge to Spark AR?